Yeah. Are you messing? Are you messing? I can't remember where I was now. This is Éala, and she was born in July 2024. She is the best thing that's happened to me in my life, literally. I couldn't imagine life without her now. My name's Aimee, I'm 28 and I'm from Finglas. I've always wanted to be a mum. Loved kids from such a young age. Always, I've been babysitting since I was younger. I always loved it, and in my head it was like, never a doubt. I knew whatever way I had to do it, I knew I was always going to do it. It was about maybe 5 years ago, I kind of just had a thought in my head and I was like, I'd love a baby. And then I was like, yeah, I always wanted to be a young man. So like, kind of, if I had my way, I would have done it years ago. But I was like, even if it comes to doing it on my own, I was like, I'm more than happy to do it. It's like, whatever way it takes, I'm gonna do it. I did keep it to myself for a while, and then I remember saying to my mum one day, I just went in and I was like, Mum, if I don't meet someone in a few years, what do you think if I went and done it myself? And she was like, Aimee, if that's what makes you happy, yeah. And since then it was like, right, I'm ready. I was like, this is what I want. I didn't really care what people thought. It was kind of like, once my mum was okay with it, you know, I was like, I have her support. And since then, family, literally everyone has been so good. I couldn't have had better support around me. One day I just kind of looked up, because I have polycystic ovaries. So in my head it was like, straight away I was like, I'm always going to struggle, regardless of whether I meet someone or not. So I was like, I might just go and get the tests first and see how they go and stuff like that. And I think from when I first got the tests done and I came into the clinic, I was like, I'm ready to go now. I just felt so comfortable, relaxed, and I was like, this is my time. The blood tests I came in for first, I had my consultation over the phone, and even the consultation I was like, wow, like I didn't think so much into it. I expected to do IUI first in my head, and because of the polycystic ovaries, it wouldn't be suitable for me to do it, so it was straight to IVF. And I was like, okay. And in my head I was like, yeah, just, you know, just doing injections and every day, and yeah. But I didn't realise the extent of everything and each step and them little setbacks. I was like, wow. But in my head I was like, you know, it'll come in the end, it'll come in the end. But at the time it was like, oh my God, it's taken forever. It's taken so long, it's such a long process. But I'd do it 10 times over. I kind of felt, at the start I was just like, oh, just, you know, an injection every day and it'd be fine. And when it came to it, collecting the medication, I was like, oh, it's like, oh my God, big bag, everything. And then when it came to doing, say, the first injection, I was like, I can't do it to myself. I was like, I think I need someone to do it. I was like, oh my God. But after literally the first time I done it then, it was like second nature. I could just do it, no problem. I kind of thought, oh, okay. I didn't really know much about the IUI or the IVF. Really, I kind of looked up more into it after, and I was like, right, IVF is, you know, this and this and this is how you do it, and the egg collection and stuff. But it didn't really bother me, because I was like, I'll do whatever it takes. You know, I wasn't devastated or I wasn't gutted. It was like, okay, well, this is what it's going to take to do it. I was just kind of like, how do I even do it? How do you pick? What do you look for? You know, it was all quite straightforward, and I have to say, any questions I had were answered like near enough straight away, and it helped so much, because I was like, in my head I was like, I'm literally doing it on my own. You know, like my mum, family, they wouldn't know not what to say, but what to do or how to give me information. But I have to say, anytime I text the clinic or whatever, it was straight away and I got the answer I was looking for. So that was so helpful. It was exciting, but I was kind of like, oh my God, what am I looking for? Because I didn't really know. I was just like, I just want my baby, do you know what I mean? But I think I sat on it for a week, and I wrote down the numbers on a piece of paper of a few donors, and I kind of went back and I was like, yeah, no. And like, there wasn't much in the difference, but I was just like, how do you know if you picked the right one or the one for you? And eventually I did. I just went with it and I was like, yeah, either way, it's going to be my baby. So I couldn't believe it was actually happening. I was like, wow, it's actually, everything's going ahead. And I was like, I'm actually doing this. It was exciting, but it was nerve-wracking. I was like, oh my God, like I am doing this. But yeah, no, it was great. It felt a bit like a long process. It could have been literally 7 to 9 days. I can't exactly remember, but now I'm like, everything was quick, but in the time you're like, oh, it's Monday, Tuesday, and you're waiting and waiting. But overall, I think it was more just excitement for me that I was like, I'm actually doing it. It was fine. It was quite an easy process. It wasn't painful, nothing. You're welcomed in, sat down, questions, going through your sheet before and after, and it was the quickest process I think I've ever done in my life. After my egg collection, I was quite painful and sore, and I was like, right, I kind of thought it'd be just, period pain, stuff like that, but I was kind of like, I couldn't walk, and I was like, oh, and that's when they decided to do the freeze-all embryos. I was a bit devastated about that because I'd expected like a week or so transfer, but it wasn't the case. But I just think it was all meant to be. Like the way everything happened, I was like, that's just the way it's supposed to be for me. At the start, I was kind of, gutted and stuff, but in my head it was like, it's for the outcome. November 22 was I had my first consultation. March 23 was egg collection. Done the freeze-all, and I had my first embryo transfer in May, but that ended in a miscarriage. So then I kind of gave it a few weeks, I didn't really know what to do. I was kind of like, wow, didn't expect it. That was one thing I didn't, because it was like the only thing for me in my head was I had polycystic ovaries, so getting pregnant, say, was my problem. But I don't think I thought so much into it might not work out. Things will happen, there'll be bumps in the road. But then my second transfer was October, and she stuck, and here she is. I leaned on my sister a lot and my friends. I couldn't fault them in any way. They listened to me repeating myself 10 times and never questioned it or anything. My mum was amazing, but like that, she'd get upset seeing her daughter upset, and I didn't want her getting upset, so I held back a little bit. But family, friends, I just can't. Even some work colleagues were just unbelievable, like so helpful. Even the texts, how are you? Hope you're doing good, have a great day, constant check-ins. It was amazing, which I kind of knew I had. But when I was going through, I was like, wow, I really do have such a big support group. It was great. Eventually, I would have just kind of like blew or been like, can't do it, whatever. But opening up, just talking, repeating the same thing, they all just listened, and yeah, I'm blessed to have had all them people around me and still have them around me now. Check in constantly. You could even text and just say, you don't need to reply. Sometimes just the thought there is like, it's like a weight lift. It's like, I have someone there if I need to talk. Sometimes you do want to talk, sometimes you don't. But just knowing that you can open up when you can is amazing. So just even the text to say, hope you're having a good day. If you need me, you know where I am. That's the main thing for me. I always knew, I've always had a regular period. From the very first time I got them, they were always irregular. Could be 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. So in my head from a young age, I always had that, I'm going to struggle getting pregnant because they're not regular. So I eventually went for a scan, I think it was 2021, and they found I'd cysts on one ovary. And the next year I went for another scan just to check, and I had cysts on both ovaries. So I was like, oh, right, okay, but it explains a lot, the pain of periods when they did come and stuff like that. I was like, it can't be normal. There has to be a reason. And for so long it was, no, you're so young, your periods are regular, they'll eventually regulate. But after 7 years of that, I was like, no, there has to be something. So I do have polycystic ovaries. I have cysts on both ovaries. which means obviously I don't ovulate every month like everyone else, which is why the IUI wouldn't have suited me and the IVF was the better option. So I think one day I just looked up, you know, single donor, and that's how I kind of found everything and looked it up myself. I looked into like so much, read a lot, read some not so good things, but some great things as well. So I tried to go to kind of like proper websites, you know, HSE or like that, a clinic where you'd get useful information. I just kind of looked up myself, looked up different testings in different clinics and was like, I didn't even know what I was looking for. It was just like fertility testing. I did hear about the AMH blood test and I was like, that's one I definitely want. Because with the polycystic ovaries, I actually thought the opposite. I thought I'd have less eggs, but I actually have a good reserve of eggs. It's just that they don't release. At first I was actually in work and I think I was only about 5 weeks and 3 days. And I went to the toilet and seen there was a bit of blood and I was like, is it implantation? Is it not? So I contacted the clinic straight away and I was like, you know, I'm having a bit of a bleed. They were like, yeah, come straight in. I was told to come in for a blood test because it was too early for a scan. But I came on my own because I was like, from the first time, I was just like, I want to do this for myself. You know, I was like, I have the support, I've the phone, I can ring and text, but I just wanted to do it. So I got my blood test done, phone call later that day. My HCG was still rising, so I was like, okay, but the anxiety up to the scan. And even after that, I was like, I always had that fear from the first transfer, but it was so different. I still had that feeling. I was like, no, it's going to work. But there was always that fear just from the first time. She actually rang me 2 or 3 times and checked in, but I think I was more like nearly afraid to say, because I was like, oh, I'm a single person and I'm a donor and they probably think, what if you're not able or what, you know, that's where I thought. But after like the second phone call, I was like, no, they're on your side, Aimee, do you know what I mean? I was like, no, they're here for you, to help you and for you to talk about it. And she was lovely. She was so nice, she couldn't have been more helpful. I think it's amazing to share, and like that, when I first did it, I didn't hear of anyone really doing it. So I kind of went in blind, but now I'm like, oh my God, like if someone was doing it, I'd love them to text me or to contact me because I love talking about it. So I'd love someone else to open up as well. Like, yeah, if someone asks a question, I'll comment, give you my experience or tell you what I think. Whereas before it was like, no, I couldn't. I wouldn't even think about it. I'd be reading everyone's and I'd be like, I'd love to be able to do that. But I just never had the confidence. I was like, no, because I was never ashamed, like, but I'm so proud that I actually done it. And I actually still can't believe I'm like, oh my God, like I'd done it on my own, do you know what I mean? But definitely now I speak openly about it. And I just think it's an amazing thing to do regardless, because in my head it was like, oh, I could wait till I meet someone. But then it's getting to know someone. Is it a person you want to have a baby with? And I was like, I know I want a baby, regardless of whether I have someone there or not. And I was like, I'm gonna do it. If someone is considering it, I'd say do it. Don't hold back and don't wait. Like that, for me personally, my egg reserve was good. For other people, it might not be. You know, age and everything comes into factor. But I've loved every minute of it. At the time, yeah, nerve-wracking. But now looking back, I'm like, that's my journey. And that's what I did to get her. And I just think it's great. Anyone, go for it.